This is TQA Weekly. On this episode, we are going to talk about cookies. Welcome to TQA Weekly. I'm your host, Steve Smith, aka Z-Axis, and sorry for the voice. I probably have something like strep throat or a really bad case of dry, sore throat. Today's episode is on cookies. Yes, I'm only showing you one. So, here's the thing. I want to talk about the technology behind cookies, not the edible kind, the one in the web browsers. Yes, I can speak funny when I have a sore throat. Now, here is a very, very simple demonstration of what a first-party and a third-party cookie is. One, I am currently here. I have the cookie. I intentionally came into this room. This cookie is first-party. Now, you're watching the video through the viewer, probably on YouTube or blip.tv or iTunes or any other place I put it. It is a coincidence that you're seeing a cookie. That is a third-party cookie. What is first party for me is third party for you. Now, I know what's in this cookie and you don't. That is just the way that the information works. So I know it's filled with chocolate. Yes, one of those new creepy creations. But you don't know that. That is what is so scary about cookies on the internet. First party cookies, well, for most part, I know a lot of people don't even know they exist. They don't even hear about this. This is like rampant information for, how we say, paranoids and programmers. The double P's. But at the end of the day, a cookie is only one specific piece of information. It is a text file that can only be accessed by the server that created the text file. And this is where it gets really fun. Only the server that created the text file and has the address in that text file can actually use the information in that cookie. So how do third-party cookies get into your computer in the first place? Advertising, images, third-party content. Things like Facebook, Twitter, anything that lets you share amongst their websites. Advertising that pay content providers to actually post these ads on their pages. Yes, I know. How do you want us to make money? But the whole point of the cookies at the very beginning was to allow us a very, very simple function. The ability to move data from one page to the other without requiring a form, which means without forcing a user to move through a linear fashion through the internet. We can move you through the internet in a very linear fashion, or we can at least try. But it only works in one context. It only works for surveys, for when you're sending out forms or any other kind of information like that, where the user is intent on sending information in a very linear manner. You can't get somebody to go to my podcast website and see every single specific episode in order and expect the information to be intact by the end. Just doesn't work. So we needed a technology that was outside the linear path that allowed us to get this information from any page within the domain name that we set it in. The answer was cookies. Now, when we were using cookies at the beginning, we were using server-side and client-side programming to get it. You're seeing less and less client-side retrieval of information because of the implicated dangers of getting it snapped up by weird JavaScript. But at the end of the day, it is nothing more than a text file containing a name, a value, an expiration date, the domain, the directory of access, whether it is HTTP only or not, and whether it can only be accessed by secure mode like SSL or not. And these have a very specific order when they're being set. At the end of the day, They only contain the information that you are, whether actively or passively, responsible for. But here are things you can do. Knowing that cookies from third-party websites means that they can actually tell that you were in a different website and that they can follow your IP address around on the internet, see where you've been, and then say with almost near accuracy that you were going from one web page to another, means that they have the ability to profile you. Ever type anything into Google and go onto about 16 different websites just have advertising from that specific topic? You can block those third-party cookies. Without destroying the internet, you may not be able to share your favorite pages, but you don't have to use the buttons on those pages anyway. You can select the address, go to your favorite social sharing website and paste the address in the message box, and hopefully the website designer in advance has already programmed the page to be shared in a specific way, and the information related to it will load anyway. It's one step more, but you're not being tracked anymore. And you can turn off third-party cookies safely. No problem, except that you won't be tracked anymore. There is a catch-22 to turning off all cookies though. Turning off all cookies implies you no longer want to be able to connect to anything that requires a cookie to maintain a session, like a shopping cart or connecting to a SSL-enabled website that stores the session ID within a cookie. Turning off all cookies disables literally the internet. And, I wish we can do things a little bit better, come up with a different way of making the information storable inside browsers, but for the moment we're stuck with what we have. So how can you connect to these places safely and not be tracked and not have any cookies or whatever? I have a few different suggestions for you. One, use more than one browser. Have one browser that you'll connect to your banks, to your email accounts and whatever, and another browser to insanely anonymously navigate the internet. You can use the Tor browser bundle. But if you run in any browser in private mode or anonymized mode or whatever you want to call that, once you close that session, all the cookies for that session are deleted. You can turn off third-party cookies or all cookies. Let me warn you in advance that by doing so, you don't necessarily block tracking unless you delete all the cookies. So like I said, use a different browser or use the private mode within the browser. If you want to delete third-party cookies to prevent third-party websites from tracking you, make sure you turn off third-party and you delete all cookies. You may have to relog into a few of your favorite websites, but that's what LastPass was made for. So at the end of the day, don't panic. Cookies, not dangerous, just very invasive. First-party cookies just store information. Third-party cookies just store information. Redundant. The information stored is dependent on your interaction with that website. If you're filling out forms, logging in, buying stuff, the information is going to be about you and your purchases and your session and your username and basically how you're going around the internet on that website. If you're just seeing the ads, those ads are tracking where you're going from page to page to page, from website to website to website. But at the end of the day, this is only passive, not active, passive technology, and it is nothing to be scared of. You can always delete the cookies, you can always go into private mode, and you can always use something like the Tor browser bundle. Next week, I'll be talking about how to make layouts with CSS. And I'm going to be demystifying a few of the debug tricks that you can use in order to make it a very, very enjoyable experience. So until next week, this has been TQA Weekly. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode and any other episode of TQA Weekly. You can head over to tqaweekly.com for more information like the show notes all the other episodes, videos, audio downloads, the web application from Android that we currently have, and just to interact with us at TQA Weekly. Stay safe and online. Have a great day.